All right, hi everybody. Thanks for joining us for our preview of Phase 2 of our redesign of the email tools within GradLeaders Career Center. I am Ryan Pratt, the VP of Marketing and Research at GradLeaders, and I've got Tammy Scott, the VP of Customer Support, as well as Scott Simmons, our Senior Software Engineer, with me today. So here is our agenda for today. We're going to quickly go over what this means for you. We're going to show you what's new. Then Tammy's going to do a live demonstration of the new email tools within GradLeaders Career Center. At the end, we will have an open Q&A. If you have questions, please type them into the chat window, not the Q&A. I know that's confusing. You've probably heard this before, but we like them to all be in one place, so it's easier if you just type them all into the chat window. And feel free to type them in at any time, and we will answer them at the end. So, what is Phase 2 of our email platform redesign? It is planned for our March release, so it's coming soon. We'll talk a little bit here on the next screen about Phase 1, but Phase 2 is going to give Career Center admins the ability to send highly personalized, targeted mass emails right within GradLeaders Career Center, and then also pull insightful engagement reports on email deliverability, open rates, click-through rates, and more. So a quick reminder, Phase 1 of this project was a new email verification system that was released to all GradLeaders Career Center users back in October of 2018. Starting on that day, any students, employers, or admins who logged into the platform were prompted to verify their email address by clicking a link in their inbox, and new users who registered on or after that date were prompted to enter an authentic email address and then were notified if the email address was invalid. It's worth noting that any employers who recruit at multiple GradLeaders partner schools only have to verify their email address once. So what is new in Phase 2? So there is a lot. So Tammy's going to go through a lot of this in a live demonstration, but just a quick overview. So obviously there's all new email send functionality, but it's not only for one-to-one emails in the system, but also mass emails and automated emails coming from the system. And it's for emails sent to students, recruiters, staff, and it's with every module within the platform. So events, modules, advising, co-op, etc. Probably the most exciting part, number 2, email analytics and reporting, both on individual and mass emails. It includes statuses, delivery rates, opens, click-throughs, including views of specific attachments sent through the email platform. An important note is that analytics may not be immediately available the moment the new email composition tools are available. So in order to ensure email deliverability rates remain unaffected, our email servers have to warm up first. So we'll be rolling this out slowly. You may see updates to the email composition tool before the analytics begin to appear. If so, there's nothing wrong. Analytics should appear for all emails for everyone by the end of March. Number 3, new email templates is another new thing that's exciting about this release. It makes it easy to quickly send messages about recurring topics or start with pre-saved formats. We also have additional variables available now. So beyond the standard email variables of first name, last name, class year, etc., you can basically use an unlimited number of variables that exist on all your existing forms or surveys within every entity and module of the system. There's also additional attachments. So you can quickly now add up to 5 documents that you have saved on your desktop, or you can quickly pull them from the resource library or the document library. So any attachments can quickly be linked from there. I mentioned earlier that all of these changes are also available within the automated system email enhancements. So approval emails, job search agents, waitlist notification reminders, etc. There's a new delay sends feature that lets you schedule emails to be sent later in the day, week, month, or year. You can also now write emails in advance and save them to send later. You can also preview emails in your inbox by sending tests to yourself, other colleagues, or external email addresses. Number 10, there's also new BCC and quick CC yourself features in the email composition tools. And then lastly, number 11, you can now update the from email address and display name for email sent from your GradLeaders Career Center system. So a few notes on that. In order to follow the industry standard best practices and ensure maximum deliverability rates, all the emails will carry a from address ending in @mg.gradleaders.com. However, most end users won't ever see or notice this, and you still have the ability to specify your own custom from email addresses as you always have. And if the recipient hits reply, it will still go directly to the from address listed and to that person's inbox. As always, your brand is important to us. We truly think of ourselves as partners with you. So another exciting new feature of this release is that the from addresses on emails from our system will carry your school name and brand. Now, this is very different from some of the other career service management platforms out there. So all the popular email clients will utilize this display address and display it accordingly as shown in some of these examples here. About 80% of our school partners are using a Microsoft email server or client, so like Outlook or Office 365. On the next slide, we'll show you some examples of what it looks like in Gmail. So school emails will come from the default school name. Emails directly to students from recruiters will come from that recruiter's first and last name. And only if you dig into the details of the message, you can start to see the new Mailgun or the mg.gradleaders.com domains. All right, one last slide before we dive into the live demonstration with Tammy. A quick reminder about what Phase 3 is. Phase 3 is called Email Campaigns, and it will include multiple emails per campaign, additional email scheduling tools, email queues, and email campaign level analytics. So that's it.
All right, good morning, everybody. Okay, I'm excited to show you all the new changes that we have now with this round of our email enhancement. So I'm going to start out with composing emails. And just want to mention off the bat that you're going to find really anywhere you can compose an email in the system, you're going to see that the screen to do that is going to have different options and variables. So I'm going to start here in the candidate file just to show an email that could be sent to students from the student file. So I selected a group of students, these 5 students, and this is the send email screen, which you'll notice if you're familiar that this looks a lot different than what we've had in the past. So the first thing I want to bring your attention to here is at the top we have selected templates. So if this is the first time you've gone in and there are no templates that have been set up yet for the students, then you wouldn't see this change template, but since I have set up some templates, then they are available here. And you can see here, you can go in and you can select a template that you want to use. Which I will go back and do here in a minute. The from email address is driven off of your program settings, or actually, I'm sorry, your school settings, and it will show, you can select, if you're sending to students, you can select whether it comes from the user or whether it comes from the school email address, and that's not new. A lot of you may already have that set up. So in this particular case, I have it set up to default to come from the actual user, which is myself. You can see here we have the 5 students we're sending to. You can designate, or I should mention too, you can change that from email address if you would like. You can add a CC or a BCC email address. And then here too, you can CC yourself. This is also a default to have it checked if you'd like to have that checked. Or you can just select it when you're generating a new email. Here obviously is where you would enter your email subject, your email body. So this is not really that different. You do have the option of doing this in HTML, or you can just preview it, but we don't have anything in there yet. A few things that are vastly different than what we have had in the past. One is right now you can actually now add attachments. You can add up to 6 attachments. If I kept clicking this, it would go to 6, and you can choose a file from really anywhere. We also now have the option to include a hyperlink to your document library. So this would be any documents that are visible to the admin in this particular case, and you can just click on it and have it just appear right in your email. You just place the cursor and click on the documents you'd like to include. Another thing that is very different is now you have this option to add variables from other parts, or I guess other areas of the system. Just want to mention here that this list or these defaults of what is available is really going to be based on where you're generating the email. So in this particular case, we are in the candidate file or student file, and so it's the student variables that are available. So for example, this is how this works. If you wanted to personalize your email, typing dear, since we have 5 students, we want every one of them to have their own first name. You could go down here, find first name, click on that, and you can include that in your variable, enter the text or the body of the email here, and you're ready to go. Rather than have you sit and wait for me to type all of this, I'm just going to select a template, show you how that looks. This is a template that I set up a couple of days ago. So it's already been selected, everything that I had put in here before. At the bottom, we have a number of options. So if I click Send Now, which I will do here in a couple of minutes, it's going to send. And that's it. I can click here on Send Later. So what this does is this schedules this email to be sent out at a future time and date. So I can enter a date here and the time. I'll show you here in a little bit where you can go and see what emails have been scheduled to be sent out into the future. I can save this email. So if I were to open this up, important here to note, you can either update the current template or you can use these parameters, make changes, and then save it as a new template. As the user, you have the option of selecting the access for this template that you've created or modified. It can either be public, which means anybody, any admin would have access to that template. You can make it protected so that they can still use it and see it, but they can't change it, or you can make it private. So as the user, that is, you would be the only one that would be able to use or see that template. You also now have the option of sending a test message, and you can designate where you want that test message to go by entering the email address right here, clicking on Send. And then, of course, if you change your mind, you can just cancel. So I'm going to go ahead and send this now. So the first thing I want to show you now that we've sent it is I'm going to go show you the activity where you can go onto an actual student's file in the Activity tab, and you can see what emails have been sent to them. So this is actually the email. I know it says 9:16 a.m. If you're on the East Coast. It's not. It's 12:16 p.m., but our server is on Pacific time, so that's why this is actually the email, though, that I just sent. If you go over here and you click on this little notepad icon, whoops, there we go. You can see that it will show the email that was sent. I'm going to go and show you now what this email looks like in the email box. Oh, maybe I am. There we go. So this is what the student would see that you have sent this to. This is the one that was sent directly to the student. So as Ryan showed in the slides earlier, you can see what where it's coming from. It'll have your school name in here. This is Outlook 365. This is their email, the body of the email. If I also had it copied to myself, so if you have have it checked off so that you would get a CC of the email, this is what you would get. It'll indicate that you are being copied on the message. Because there are multiple first names, obviously it's not going to list all the first names. And then also down here, it's going to tell you who it was sent to. So this is what it looks like in the email client itself. Now I'm going to go back here in a second and show you, now that I've viewed the email, what the activity looks like. This is that same email. Now you can see that we have just a couple of really quick analytics here that are contained within that email activity. So now not only do we have the email body, this is the exact one that we just looked at, you can also see that the delivery status is a success. So it was delivered, and I opened it and what date it was opened. All right, so that is what it looks like to send an email from a candidate, and also showing you the candidate activity. You can see the emails that have been sent. Now I'm going to show you, I'm going to jump over here to workshops real quick. I just want to show you what a system email template looks like, because you will also have the option of, wait, yeah, go this way. So here you can see this is actually a system email. There isn't actually any text in it. But when those system emails are generated, you can also go in and you can change those as well. If you wanted to save this as your own template, you could even do that here. Another thing I wanted to show you, like I said, there's a lot of different ways that you can send emails in the system. I'm going to go into a recruiter file just real quick and show you if I wanted to send an email to these recruiters. Because I have the school setting to show that this is coming from the school rather than from the user, you can see now that it actually defaults to the school email address and not the user. So now I'm going to show you where you can go to look at the emails that have been saved, and also system emails, because those can now be changed. So if you go into configuration and messages, oops, click on that right? I did, good. The first tab we're going to look at is system emails. So here are all your system emails. This should look somewhat familiar. Is this the same, Scott, or is this different, the hovering?
This tab used to be called, I think it was just emails, and
Okay.
we've renamed it system emails because the saved emails tab is new. But
Okay.
yeah, this is all the existing email templates.
Right. Okay, so if you wanted to access this or really any of these system emails, I mean, the screen has not changed, but just to refresh your memory or just for information purposes, you know, we have 3 different types of emails that are contained within the system email tab. There's automatic emails that are sent based off of an activity in the system that send out automatically. There are pop-up messages. So, for example, if you're setting up an appointment, you can change it, but that message pops up. You can select whether to send it or not, and then there's also agents as well. So you can change any of these. So if we wanted to change the appointment updated, again, you would just click here. You would select which program ID. Of course, most of you aren't going to have this many program IDs, but this is our demo site. And here you have the option of making changes here, adding, again, like I showed earlier, you could add documents from the document library, change your variables, change even the from address, all of that. Also, if you wanted to change it and save it as a different template, you could do that as well. Lots of flexibility here. If you're looking for the templates that have been created, the saved emails, you know, that can be created really anywhere, you can go to the saved email tab here and pull those up. So again, if you wanted to change them, you would click on the email name. You have all those options. You also have the option to copy it here. Or if you don't want to use that template anymore, you can also delete it. Okay. Now I'm going to show you just some information or just the analytics that are now offered in the system with this next release. So if you go to other activities, mass emails, you have a few options here. So first of all, this very first tab, this current tab, that tab is listing any emails that are scheduled to go out. So as I showed you earlier, where you can save an email to be sent out later, to schedule an email where you can schedule the date and time. If it hasn't been sent yet, it will appear in this list. So if you want to see, and if you're not really sure what that is, you can click on this little guy here. Actually, I'm sorry, this will actually show you the analytics. So because there's NA here, that means that nothing has been sent yet. But you can see it's scheduled to actually go out tomorrow, or I guess that's really midnight. So this tab will list anything that's already been sent out. And as, of course, we're anticipating you're going to use this a lot, there are going to be a lot of emails. We set up a basic search for you. This is a search I did earlier today, where you can select whatever entity type, so wherever this has been sent from or is available. This list is not huge yet, and that's because the developers designed this so that they're only going to add entities as you add emails to that entity. So only the ones that have emails available at this point are going to be on here, but as you add more, of course, that list will get longer. So you can search on entity, create date, and then keyword, which would be anything in the subject or the body of the email. You can search. Then, of course, you have your match tab here. So that is basically, I guess, a storage place for all of the emails that have been sent. As far as reporting goes, we do have analytics reports, too, that have been set up as part of this email project. So if you go to reports, and the last one on the list, we have 2 reports available. There are email analytics, and then there's also an undeliverable email export. So email analytics should look familiar. It looks like a lot of the reports in our system. You can select a date range. So for example, you can select your source. Also, again, you can select your entity type. It's all going to show the ones that have email set up. For the purpose of this, we'll leave everything checked. Click on View. And here you can see a report has been generated. This will show any email that's been sent out, any mass email that's been sent out during that time frame. So in this analytics report, you have the date, the subject, the entity type again, the source, so where it was sent from. It will show your recipient count, so how many received this message, how many were actually delivered. Of course, since this is a demo site, a lot of these were not actual real email addresses. Your results probably will be much better. Percentage delivered, the undeliverable count, the percentage that was undeliverable, how many were opened will also be available here, and how many were clicked through, as well as a complaint count. Like all of our reports, this can also be exported to Excel, or you can create a PDF. The other report that I mentioned is the undeliverable email report. Again, if you put in a date range here, click export. This one actually will export to a CSV file. You can see display it here. It will list them by email ID, the date that was sent, and of course the most important information is the email address that it was not able to be delivered to. There are a number of undeliverable reasons. Probably the most common that you'll see is previously undelivered, which means that we did try to deliver it in a previous email or a previous message and it did bounce back. That's what previously undeliverable means. The other one that you would see probably most often would be a hard bounce, which means it tried to deliver this message and it was bounced back by the email server. Okay. Really, I think that covers the highlights. Did I miss anything major? All right. Okay.
All right, well, Tammy, toggles back to the PowerPoint. Reminder, if you've got questions, please use the chat functionality, not the Q&A. We will try and answer all the questions, but if not, we can see who sends what and we can follow up later as needed.
Okay. Go back to the top here. Okay, so will the analytics be available on agent emails as well, or just the ones we compose?
Yeah, every email in the system that's sent out will have individual analytics. So as Tammy showed early on in the demo, we were looking at a candidate's profile, and in there, if they received an email that was a workshop reminder for the following day, if you looked at that individual email record, you would see there would be a delivery status and an open date if they had actually opened it. So those same analytics will be there. Some of our job agents do send batch emails. Those will show up in the mass emails grid that Tammy showed.
Okay, here's a message from Kelly. When you preview, will the variables pull through, or will it be just the student first name? I guess, I mean, it depends on if you send it, if you CC yourself and it's just.
So when you're using the send, I'm guessing this is the send test message / preview, it will show the variables themselves. Mm-hmm. It won't substitute them out with any kind of generic information because most of these emails are going to be mass emails. In the scenario where it's a mass email, and you say, I want to send a test message, then what you see in the field on the screen is what you're going to get in the test message. But in the scenario where, let's say I'm on a workshop and I'm removing a candidate sign up, well, that's what we have, an automatic or a system email now, and a lot in the places where there's only one recipient and there's variables there, then those would be substituted out, and it would say just Dear John or Dear Jane or whatever.
Is date time per school zone or school time zone?
All the dates and times that are seen everywhere on the screen, including the open rates, all the analytics, is all based on the school's time zone. I'm guessing this came from the question of why is it 9:15 in the morning?
Yeah.
And that's because we've set our demo site school to be Pacific time. So we can just demonstrate that. But yeah, everything will be in your school's local time zone. So if you're in the East Coast, it'll all be your local times.
Can you just send a test email without actually sending out the actual email to students and recipients? Answer is yes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we demonstrated that earlier. If a student or recruiter unsubscribes, does that mean they will no longer receive emails from our office? Is there a way we can separate this out by type of email?
So as part of this phase of the project, unsubscribe is not a native function of the emails that we're sending. That is a future project that we're still designing. But if you looked in Tammy's Outlook client, there was a there was a link in there that said, do you want to unsubscribe from this? That's not something we're putting in the message. That's something that the Outlook Office 365 client is putting in there. But we're not putting that in the message yet. That's a future project that we're currently designing.
Is there a way to embed images, example banners, pictures in the email templates using HTML, as is the case with dashboard widgets?
Yeah, I believe our email composer will allow you to put images in there. You may have to host those images on your own sites, but you can definitely compose an email message the same. That part of our email message system works exactly the same as it does now. So.
Will the email sent from the co-op module be tracked with this new release under activity?
So we have, if we're talking about workflow reminder emails, co-op workflows, there is a tracking mechanism built into that module. That was released, I believe, in the last release or a couple of releases ago. Aside from that, every other email that's sent out from the system is tracked in the normal candidate activity log.
Is there a spot that shows who was undeliverable so we can fix it or reach out to that contact in a different format? And yeah, we showed that with that undeliverable report there at the end of the demo.
Yes, and if you're looking at an individual student's profile, there is a permissionable action box. And this was added with the email verification phase 1 that we implemented. So if you're looking at a candidate's profile or a recruiter's profile or a staff record, there's an action box on the right side below the account information where you change the user's username or email address. And what it does is that box shows you what the status of the verification or the validity of their email address is. So if you were looking at that student's profile and they had a good email address, it would say it's been verified. But if they had a bounce, it would say right there in the box that their email address is invalid because, and it would list some specific sub-reason of why.
I think we answered this next question. Is there a spot where it'll show those who unsubscribed? And I think right now it's the report will give you the list of email addresses.
So the unsubscribed.
Unsubscribed, sorry, not unsubscribed.
Yeah, unsubscribed is not something we've finished yet. If this question came up when we were looking at the, I believe it was the email analytics report, there's a column in there that says complaints, and that is something completely different. We'd cover that in more detail in a later webinar or individual training. But what that is the summary of it is if we deliver an email to, say, an America Online mailbox, and for some reason that person clicks, I'm going to complain about this sender, this is spam or something like that. Well, America Online, the email service provider, can optionally report back to the sender of that email to say, hey, you have a user that's complaining about that you're sending them spam. So it's kind of a report back. So if you're sending a big mass marketing email and it's getting a lot of spam complaints, that might be an indication that look at your marketing message in there and figure out, why do people think this is spam or whatever.
Okay. And to further clarify, Kelly said that they use Constant Contact and it shows who unsubscribed after an email was sent. I imagine that'll be part of probably this next iteration with the unsubscribe.
Absolutely. We will definitely build in some analytics that will report on that. So, like I mentioned before, the unsubscribe, there's a lot of considerations that need to go into this to make sure that whatever we implement works for all schools. So we're designing all of that out, and there'll probably be another webinar for that in the future.
Great. Doug is asking, can a custom field be a variable to use in email?
Yeah, anything that you put on your surveys for whatever the entity is. So if you went to, let's say, a workshop and you had a sign-up survey for a workshop or the workshop itself, and you added, favorite color, what's your favorite color to the sign-up survey, you could then put that on any of those workshop. Like you could put that as a variable on your workshop reminder email that goes to candidates, and you could list out to them, here are the things that you selected. So if you had an advising reminder email and candidates are picking the topic that they're signing up for, you can put that in the reminder email of, here's the topic that you picked to sign up for. So really, it's anything that you can put on your surveys.
Here's a really good question from Katie. For the save and send later, will the query for addresses update, or will it be static to when the query was initially run, or I guess when it was originally scheduled?
So this is a good question, because this kind of bleeds into a lot of our design around the campaign system. So the answer to the question is a snapshot at that moment in time. So if you're sending a mass email to all of your first year students, and you say, I want to send this next week, you're right. If any of the email addresses change during that time, then it's still going to send it to the old email address. Now, the way that email campaigns will work is it will, like if you wanted to send it to like a specific set of candidates based on a search in the system, I want to send an email to all my first years who are OCR ineligible because they haven't done something, right? And you say, I want this email to go out next month. So at that point in time, when you actually schedule that email to be sent, is when it will actually send to whatever their email address is at that particular moment in time. But that is campaigns, that's phase 3.
So coming soon?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you CC or BCC if you schedule the email in the future? And the answer is yes.
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 Mm-hmm.
It's just based off of what you have on that template at the time that you schedule it. Let's see. And here's a question: what is complaint count? Which I think maybe.
Yeah, we covered that.
Yeah. Is there an unsubscribe link on the mass emails so students can opt out if they wish? And so at this point, no, unless you have like Outlook 365 we just showed. They have their own unsubscribe, but that is not through us.
And I'm not sure what that does, to be honest.
I don't either. We probably should check that out.
Yeah.
But we are planning for a future release to have an unsubscribe option with functionality. Can you delete a queued email before it sends? Oh, I didn't show that. And I had actually meant to.
You can, up until a certain window. I can't tell you off the top of my head what that window is. I think it's a couple of hours.
Yeah, if you go back into the mass emails under other activity, that first set current tab that shows everything that's scheduled, if you click on the little trash can, it will delete it. Can you tell in the analytics if an attachment was opened?
So I think this is probably one of the advanced analytics.
Mm-hmm.
So the analytics that we've got now, no. But Tammy, did you want to address that?
Yeah, so we are currently working on, Dave is working on some Looker reports. So for those of you who have Looker licenses, there will be some more advanced analytics reporting. I don't know specifically if attachments are going to be part of that, but it's possible. And we're working on that in the next couple of weeks. So for those of you who have Looker licenses, that will be announced probably prior to this actually being released. So sometime in the next couple of weeks, you'll see that there will be some more advanced reporting available through Looker. Yeah,
and just to expand on that, as far as analytics, I don't have the details on all the specific reports that are being built into Looker, but we are capturing all of the breakdown of information. So if you had a mass email that you sent out to a population of students and it had, say, 3 attachments in it, we have the ability to show the analytics for each of those attachments. You can see that half of them opened this attachment and the other half opened this other attachment. So we do have that information.
Okay. Another question about complaints and complaint percentage. I think we covered that. Do the undeliverable emails send an email notification to the sender's inbox?
No, they do not.
Why would a server hard bounce a message?
So a hard bounce would be if the mailbox doesn't exist at the destination server. There's a lot of reasons that a destination mail server can report back a bounce. We have a lot of functionality to determine what to do with a message whenever it can't be delivered to a mailbox. You know, there's something called the soft bounce. So maybe the destination mail server was down at the time that we actually tried to send the message. Those attempt to get redelivered, those don't get reported back as what's called a hard bounce until the sending mail server gives up on the destination, which is usually after a couple of days. If the user's mailbox is full, so let's say I never clean out my mailbox and my mailbox is full, that actually gets reported back as a failure, but we don't treat the address as undeliverable. It will just continue to report back as their mailbox is full. Another good example of that would be sometimes when you send an email attachment to somebody that is a dangerous attachment, let's say it's an executable, that's regarded as an unsafe file type. Pretty much every mail server out there will send you a bounce back if you try to send an exe to their mailbox. It will say that it rejected your email because it contained an attachment that didn't count. So same thing, it's going to be counted as a failure, but we won't flag the recipient's address as a bad address because of it. So we've taken a lot of that into account. Did I think I covered?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. Jeff has a question. We have an email newsletter in MailChimp. Can we paste the HTML code to create a campaign?
Yeah, I mean, really sending any email you want with when we add the campaigns, you'll be able to add, you can use the mass email system as it exists today, but campaigns will definitely expand upon that quite a bit.
Paul asked, if thousands of job agent emails are sent each day, will it clog the screen? And sortable filter field name to limit the view. Suggestion.
So on the mass email page, yeah, I mean,
I'm assuming yes, yeah.
So as time goes on, as we see the need for improvements on some of these areas, like the mass emails page, additional filtering, we'll add that, by request. Or so if you have that kind of feedback once the system gets out there, let your account managers know, and we'll definitely look at all of that. So we're going to be looking for a lot of feedback on this stuff.
If I look at a student account, will I see that it was sent to that particular student? In other words, can I verify a specific student got it without running a report? Yes. If you go into the candidate file and you click on the activity tab, you'll see a list of all the emails that were sent. And if you click on the notebook or notepad icon, you can actually see the body of the email as well as if it was successfully delivered.
And I'll add to that as well. So there are 4 places in the system right now where we have that level of detail, which is if you're looking at a student's activity log tab on their profile screen. We also have this, what we call the PID level one. So you can look at all the emails that have been sent to everybody in, say, your first year PID. The same functionality exists there. Co-op, as I mentioned earlier, if you're using co-op approval workflows, that information is now there as well. And then finally, if you're using OCR, there's an activity log on a visit, and if one of those activity log entries is an email, that information will be there as well. So if you had you were running schedules and the invitation emails, the interview emails went out, you'd be able to see that particular person on the schedule received the email, they looked at it, was delivered to their address.
When we send mass emails, do students see all the recipients listed at the bottom? And the answer is no. It's only if you CC yourself, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
And that list does get abbreviated if it gets too long. So that's something we're doing right now. So if for some reason you were emailing 1,000 students and you said, I want to CC myself on this, that list will be abbreviated. I don't know that we've decided on the exact number. I think it's 20. But it would say that it got sent to 1,000, but it would only list out the first 20 names.
Okay. Let's see. When I send an email from the co-op records and click email, those emails are not being tracked. I'm not sure.
What was it? Read that again, please.
It says when I send an email from the co-op records and I click email, those emails are not being tracked. I'm not sure.
If they're not, then we should.
Yeah, I would.
Just work with your account manager.
Yeah, we can work with. Yeah, we'll work with you on that one. If you send a document from the document library, how does the student see that? Do they need to have the document library turned on in the student module?
I believe, so if you link a document that's from the document library, it's a publicly accessible link. So anybody that's receiving the email can look at that document that's sent in with the document link.
Okay. Okay. And so here's a question, I believe it's about the undeliverables. Once we get that report, is there a way to batch inactivate those contact accounts?
As far as resume, are we talking resume book status, do we think?
I think we're just trying to inactivate anybody who has an undeliverable email address. So is there a way that we can identify?
We don't have anything that would do that right now, so I definitely put in the category of...
Yeah, that would be a nice feature request.
Yeah, additional functionality that is useful around these particular types of analytics.
Oh, she said for contacts. So I think maybe we're talking about maybe the recruiter contacts, which it would be the same thing, though. We would have to put in a feature request, correct?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. Yes, okay. That is the end of the list of questions. If anybody has anything else, I'll give you about 15 seconds. All right, I'll go on here.
All right, a few quick reminders. School Partner Support Portal. If you've not checked it out, please do, although I think most of you probably have. There's a lot of traffic to the site. We actually just updated it. So there's a whole new admin resources section. We changed the navigation a little bit. The admin resources section is now a combination of all the videos and guides and everything we've created. And it's on one page sorted by module, so you can Control F on that page and search for anything you're looking for. It should be a lot more useful and user-friendly. There's also videos and best practices. On the next screen, Tammy, there's a few examples of some of the types of content you'll find there. If you've not been there, there's videos, there's quick start guides, there's templates. There's a whole bunch of new guides related to this email marketing platform. I think we created like 7 new guides maybe for it. We're also going to add some new templates, but there's always been existing email templates in there that you can use to send to students and recruiters. So there's a lot of useful information there. In fact, you will be redirected to the site as soon as the WebEx ends today. Also, a reminder, if you haven't used it, that's where live chat exists, which is really helpful for quick answers to easy questions. So check that out while you're in there. Connections, if you have not registered for Connections yet, it is coming up May 13th and 14th in Columbus, Ohio. We already have about 37, I believe, schools and employers registered for this event. You can learn more at gradleaders.com/connections. We'll be finishing the agenda here soon, and you may have heard from me already. We're looking for anybody who wants to participate a little more, so be on a panel, moderate a panel. We're already starting to fill those slots as well, so you can do all that at gradleaders.com/connections.
We do have a couple more questions real quick since we still have a couple more minutes.
Go for it.
All right. Kay asked if we can embed images using HTML, which, yes. Just like with the dashboard widgets, we can do that. Another good question is just to confirm the date that this is going to come out. So just as a point of clarification, yes, the code is going to be released in our March release, which is March 4th. However, I think it's important to note that the analytics part of it is going to take a couple of weeks. Just because of the requirements with Mailgun, we don't want to go out and blast a whole bunch of emails that are going to get flagged. So we're going to have to ease into it. So I would say probably around March 15th, March 16th is when everybody should have the email analytics available. If a student responds to the sender, where does the email go?
So when they hit their reply button on their mail client, it's going to go to whatever the email address was that was specified in the toolbox. So as far as how the production system is working today and how that works, it will work exactly the same as it does today. So if you opened one of those emails that came from Tammy and you hit reply, it would say you would be replying to tscott@gradleaders.com.
Just a couple quick questions, and this will be it, I think, for today. The first one is this available in beta? And so for those clients who do have access to the beta server, this is all available in beta at this time. And then, will all of our system emails currently in the platform remain the same? And the answer is yes. We're not going to change any of those.
That's correct. The only thing that would be, if you go hunting for analytics on emails that were sent before the analytics were actually started to be recorded for your school during our rollout, then you just wouldn't see those fields on the screen. So maybe like on March 6th or 7th, you send a batch email, and then you go look at the candidate activity log, and you're just not seeing a delivery date, a delivery status, or an open status. That's just because your analytics haven't been rolled out yet. So that is something we will communicate out once we're complete with that phase, so that everyone will know, okay, I can start looking for analytics.
That's all I had.
Okay.
Awesome, thank you. So we will send this recording out probably early next week, and you can watch it again.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.